Christina and I met in 2009. We met at church in Southern California. Dating was like kind of challenging. We had to work through a lot of stuff there.
And we were so proud of ourselves because we had so much figured out during our dating life.
We thought we had so much figured out. Even this sense of confidence of like, oh, we've done so much work on ourselves. We understand ourselves so well, and like marriage is going to be a breeze. So we're like, okay, we're set up. We're ready to win. This is going to be great.
Right. And so our first year was good.
The reality is we both had jobs. We were financially at that time fairly comfortable. There were no kids.
Yeah.
Life is, we didn't think this at the time probably, but now looking back, life was very easy. And so the level of health probably required out of us in the early stages of our marriage wasn't that much.
We moved from Orange County to Los Angeles, which doesn't seem like a big move, but it was a new community, a new church, new friends. Like, they can be good, but they can also be stressors. Pretty soon after, I got pregnant.
Every night he's up for hours crying, screaming.
Poor guy could not get any rest. I mean, it just escalated into this kind of survival mode. Mm-hmm. It just felt like we couldn't catch up.
It just felt like everything was always intense. Intense sleep deprivation, intense fights. On top of all that, my job, which had been going great at a church, all of a sudden, I'm having a lot of conflict with the person who's managing me, and so that's becoming this stressful thing too. And so it's just everything in my life is making me feel like I'm failing. It was too much stress. It was too much required of me. I didn't know how to do it, and so I withdrew. The team I was leading at that time at this church, I had bad boundaries with everyone on that team. There was one person particularly, her and Christina were friends, our families had done stuff together. There's a lot of kind of a natural closeness there. I was desperately looking for a place where I felt good enough. It felt like something alluring and interesting and like the one thing in my life that I was like, ooh, this is going well. And what seemed to me to be like this perfectly normal working dynamic turned a corner very quickly. Nothing had been said or done that crossed into like the realm of affair yet. But that was what was going to happen probably. It would blow up my entire ministry life, my family, everything I cared about.
I could tell something was wrong. I mean, he was just not himself. He was clearly distraught and not saying it. So I leaned in and was asking him about that. And that's when he shared with me, like just about the same week that I found out I was pregnant. Being a mom of a small child and finding out that you're pregnant, and then, your husband sharing this issue is very stressful and overwhelming. I was angry, and I mean, there was rage there in a way that I have never experienced before. And there was confusion, and there was pain, and there was hurt.
So as Christina's processing all of this stuff, I get fired with Christina 6 months pregnant and me just a shell of myself.
I was praying. I knew that I had God, and He was with me. I knew that Josh belonged to God, and God was bringing him through something. It's not like I always had that clarity of faith and belief, but I could always come back to it when it felt like everything was falling apart. I knew that I was God's and Josh was God's. God drew us to each other and gave us the strength to keep going.
I failed at everything. I'd let everyone down. Everything I had always been so afraid of. I had to look at that and say, okay, so who am I now? To come to terms in that moment that I'm the same person I've always been, which is this kid who's loved by God. And that all of the wounds, all of the arrows, all of the mistakes, all of the stuff I piled on top of all the things that happened in my life, all of my sin, all of my failures. Who am I? I'm like, oh, I'm God's kid. Accepted just as I am. And it turns out when you start trying to lean into that reality and really like believe it at the core of your being, you start being able to love other people better. You start being able to love your wife and kids better. You're not trying to prove who you are to people. You're not basing like your self-worth off of your ability to achieve tasks or fix problems. Instead, you're just free to love. What I don't want to describe our story as was like, man, we went through all this stuff and boy, is it now easy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's really hard. I mean, there are so many stressors in our life right now, but we've learned how to love each other in a way that actually is able to persevere, that actually is able to stay committed, that actually is able to continue to lean toward each other. It's like we know how to do that because we're experiencing that in our relationship with God. It's like we're learning how to be loved and then to love each other through that. More so than we ever were before, we're able to really, truly just love each other.
Yeah, just think about like 10 years from now.
Hey!